I have a lot of new followers, so I thought that an introductory video would be appropriate. Hi, my name is Stephanie. I go by Unquietwoman. I've been on this app for about 3 years now, and I started recording TikToks because I was really exasperated from a relationship that I was in. I was about 2, 3 years divorced, and I had met somebody and I was dating him, and it was a really toxic relationship. And I didn't recognize at the time that there were a lot of elements of narcissism coming from that partner, and I was being emotionally manipulated. And so I was reading a book and researching while I was in the relationship with him, so I was able to pull out real life examples of how I was experiencing this and how I was experiencing manipulation. And so when that relationship ended, I started to speak out and process my breakup, and I started talking about the things that were happening in the relationship, and I got a huge following, and I got a lot of people in my comment section relating with what I was going through and feeling like they were having support during their own bad relationships. That kind of morphed and segued into living my best life, dating, and healing. And I did a lot of inner child healing. I read a lot of books about inner child healing, and I talked about that on this app. I took followers through, or friends, I should say, because followers sounds like fans. These are people that connected with me and that really made me feel seen and supported. And through the dating process and standing up for myself and recognizing that what I brought to relationships was something really valuable, and I needed to be single until I found that in somebody else, until they made my life better than I was making my life. In just being single, I was making my life so good, pouring into myself, healing, that I knew I needed to stand on business, and I was empowering other women in talking about that. To also stand on business and be alone and recognize their worth and value. Also, I created a breakup course to help women that were going through a breakup, be alone, stand on business, heal, and level up. And then I met my husband, and it felt like such a soulmate relationship, a divine union. It was finally somebody that was doing his own work and was standing on business as far as what he brought to the table, and being radically accountable and self-aware. And then we did a whole series on divine union and what that feels like when somebody's in their divine masculine and divine feminine, and then they come together, and how we just complement each other in that type of a relationship. So we have another account, Divine Union University, you can go check out. We did develop some courses under that are still kind of in the gestation phase. We haven't really released those yet. But we talked a lot about divine union. And then the last few years have just been about a spiritual awakening that I had. And I've always been a spiritual person, but I read all of Neville Goddard's works here on this app on lives with the Soul Tribe fam. So shout out to you guys. And we learned all about manifestation. We learned about how you create your reality, and how what you perceive your reality to be is the most important thing, because you're creating your reality through your perception and your identity. We also read Joe Dispenza. We read Joseph Wynn, Don't Believe Everything You Think. And reading all of those books together with people on this app actually really helped me to understand my spirituality, and it took me to a whole nother level as far as who I believe God is, and how I fit into the framework of this human experience. And that's actually what led me back to the religion of my forefathers, which is Mormonism. And I've talked all about that in all of my videos, if you go back and watch, as I dealt with growing up in that faith, how that defined me, leaving that faith, having my records removed, and going out on a spiritual quest, and having a Kundalini awakening, and starting to learn things about myself and developing my own spirituality. It actually led me back to the church, because my husband and I decided we really miss having a tribe. We miss having a community. We miss having a church that we belong to. It makes us happier. And so now we're dipping our toe back into Mormonism, and we're returning to the faith. And I've gotten a lot of followers in that endeavor as well. So I am just a work in progress. I'm a human out here having a human experience, and I'm sharing it. I'm documenting it here on this app. And I appreciate everybody who has followed me at all the different stages of my life. I talk about everything on this app, from like manifestation to Tartaria, the lost civilization, to orbs I see in the sky, to inner child healing. And I talk about it all. I cannot be niched down because it's all of what makes up my identity and my interests. And if you have any of those interests, you're totally welcome to the conversation. Also, I just wrote a book, Divine Union in 14 Days, and it's a practical 14-day process where you can call in your divine union. If you're ready for a relationship that is unlike any other, that finally matches the work that you've done, it is a practical guide, part memoir. I talk a lot about like my own experiences, being single and calling in love. And it just helps women mainly to call in their own love, to call in their own soulmate, and finally get the treatment and love that they've been giving to their partner or to other people in the world, and that they want to get back in their own love relationship. And I'll be talking more about that as I drop that book. That book is finished, and I'm waiting to get the first copy from the publisher. So definitely will keep you all posted on that. Thank you so much for being here. Please drop a hello in the comments. I would love to get to know you. I would love to like discover who my followers are and connect with you. And I just appreciate you coming along for the ride.